Chips is a film that's based off of the popular TV series that came out. I believe it was in the 70s, 80s, whichever one.
I think it might have been late 70s and flowed into the 80s.
Okay,
I can't remember.
And it stars Dax Shepard and Michael Pena as two police.
And directed by
Dax Shepard.
And written by him, too.
Are two highway patrol officers that are basically on a case where they end up having to go after a deal that's basically having someone in the police.
But it's basically your typical comedy cop flick. Basically, it starts off where we get the plot where there's these group of guys who are professional motocross people who are that also work in the department. You do know quick, but they pretty much go around and robbing heists. They're doing heists. They're after two things. They keep robbing these bank trucks, those little like people that pick up money.
Yeah.
In those metal vehicles and stuff. They like to rob those on highways. They also like to they like at the beginning they kind of like kill a few officers where they're pretty much hinting they're after cop pensions, which is a copy from other guys.
Yeah.
So this movie's a fully copied on everything.
Well, and it's also, keep in mind as a little backstory, I've only seen probably the intro and maybe a clip of the original TV series, so I'm not too familiar with Chips.
So is it supposed to be a comedy or is it a drama?
Well, the original show's a drama from what I heard.
Okay, so it's another movie turned into comedy.
Kind of like they did with Starsky and Hutch and all
21 Jump Street, too.
But basically, this film deals with two new officers that are joining with this highway patrol police. One of them is played by Michael Pena, who's actually an FBI agent.
Yeah, he's sent to
LA to go undercover as a police officer, patrolman, in order to investigate this after an incident happened with his partner who got shot.
Because they believe it was an inside job, which it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a pretty simple story.
And the other plot involves where we have Dax Shepard playing a new recruit who goes through training in the police academy, and he's also married to Kristen Bell's character, who is also a swim instructor, and she basically is doing all this.
His motivation to join the police department was because he wanted to impress his wife, who no longer wants him because
they clearly
he got into a season. He was a motocross guy who got into a career-ending injury, and she sees him as nothing but a piece of shit. You don't make the millions anymore. You're scum. So he's trying to impress her by trying to do what her dad used to do as a cop.
Yeah, and basically that's the
story's simple. They're after whoever's doing this. I mean, we don't really see that detail.
Well, when we see Dax Shepard joins, he's a new recruit who gets teamed up with Michael Pena, and they have to team up together to go after this case.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta tell you right now, I already heard this. This film came out a couple years ago. Keep in mind, we watched this as a double feature with King Arthur.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Well, I'm sorry, a couple months ago. This film came out, and it was on March, I think.
It's your typical early comedy of the year release, where when they come out with January, February, March, sometimes April, they end up being shit. And when we saw the trailers, you could tell that this movie is like $2 worth, like, made.
Absolutely.
It's that fucking cheap. So we already knew, and all right, I like the first 21 Jump Street. I like Starsky and Hutch from what I remember. I have to rewatch it again. It's been so long. I'm talking about just shows that were turned into comedies. I'm not talking about Miami Vice or any of those. I'm just talking about those. The comedy ones, other than 21 Jump Street, I'll give the first one credit. I'm sorry, I think a lot of you don't know what you were watching 22, because 22 matches this movie a lot. A lot of these dramas to classic shows turned into comedies are just turning out like fucking dog shit.
They are.
And we got another one coming up called Baywatch.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, seeing the trailers, just the lines, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a fucking nightmare.
It is, yeah. And not just that, but keep in mind that and this will contain spoilers, by the way, just letting you know in advance. So if you don't want to watch this review, you can skip. You can watch another one that's non-spoiler, but this will contain spoilers. But basically,
we're gonna do a non-spoiler.
I'm sorry, this will contain spoilers. I'm sorry. If you want to see a non-spoiler review, you can check somewhere else out, or you can skip ahead to the end of the video.
Yeah.
But basically, I am also a minor fan of Jack Shepard. I think that he can be funny in some things, like, Idiocracy, Let's Go to Prison, things like that. But overall, I'm kind of hit and miss with him.
I am too. I think he was good in Without a Paddle, and for what it's worth, I have a soft spot for Employee of the Month. But this dude, like, I'm going to say these comedies that we might have liked in the early 2000s, because a lot of them were early and mid 2000s, what we mentioned. But, man, I just think they don't hold up anymore. And Dax Shepard, I think he's more of a has-been. Like, he's not a guy with range. When he's going to play in a film right now, it's always going to be the same material.
Yeah.
And it's going to shit. I hate to say it. And it was bad enough that I found out that he's basically like a Tommy Wiseau in this one, where it's like, written by Dax, produced by Dax. Let me guess, directed by Dax? Yep, sure is.
Yeah.
Oh, and starring Dax.
Yeah.
So it's basically like that, where it's like, he's like, pretty much took control over everything behind screens, and this guy is not a good director or writer.
No, because this film, this is the mentality of, this is the same type of humor that we see in movies like
with fucking that
Vacation,
Melissa
McCarthy,
yeah.
Or the humor they use in this is a lot of dragged out humor that they have a joke that goes on so long, just it doesn't really have a payoff.
Basically, it's the definition of the comedies that you guys out there, if you like it, I'm not gonna criticize you, but we get that you guys who get into this end up bashing shit like Bad Santa 2, Bad Santa 1, Last Boy Scout. Just straight, stuff that is got comedy in it. I hear hatred for shit like that.
That's what I'm saying. This is the kind of comedy that's more equivalent to something like the Vacation 2015.
Nice Guys was another one I heard a lot of you bashed last year, and but you guys like movies like Pop Star and Tammy and this.
Yeah.
And this is why we get these crap films.
Well, and basically this film deals with a lot of the banter back and forth between Dax Shepard's character and Michael Pena.
Yeah.
And this probably has to be one of the most, it's not only the most standard, like, cop movie we've seen that deals with a lot of the same cliches, but man, this chemistry doesn't even have it from the start, because these two guys, throughout this entire film, hate each other's guts. They don't even show, other than maybe probably one or two moments, they don't show any remorse for each other as friends or as co-workers.
Yeah, they don't care for each other, but it's not about that. You can write that in the story and it'd be funny, but like you said, the chemistry, like, even like, when they add any type of part, like if it's trying to be emotional, you just feel like they don't mix very well.
They don't. If I think I could probably see in Dax Shepard's role, I could maybe see, like you're talking about with Sean William Scott maybe being that role, because where he's playing kind of a fuck up. But because Michael Pena, I like as an actor, and I think that he at least tries here, but it just seems like the material that they have does not work in this kind of movie.
Well, the thing is Michael Pena would actually have to be in this film, or somebody of his nature, because the classic is that one dude, I can't think of his name. He's actually plays a cameo in this from the classic show. He is kind of like a Hispanic Mexican.
Yeah.
So Michael Pena's part needs to be in this film. It would have to be like getting rid of Dax Shepard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could replace him with a better comedian like Sean William Scott or someone else.
But back to what he said about Michael Pena. Michael Pena actually, a lot of his films he actually started out mainly in a lot of straightforward drama roles and serious tone movies. And I gotta say, I actually enjoy a lot of those. Other than a couple of movies, but. It's when he's starting to really do these raunchy, stupid comedies, and they just end up being terrible.
Yeah. Well, in this one, there's a lot of jokes in this film. There's two of them in particular that they run through the ground where there's this whole thing with this running joke with Michael Pena where he's doing that thing where he's texting that one girl, but it's actually, and he thinks he's trying to, get with her and all that, or he's got a sex fetish with people wearing yoga pants and all kinds of shit, and they run that through the ground through the entire film.
Basically, he's a sex addict, and it's brought up 20 times in this movie. And basically, one of his cures is either going to these ugly ass women who got low self-esteem, and he has sex with them, or he has to go to the bathroom and jacks off.
Yeah.
And they run that into the ground. They go by, there's certain jokes that they bring in this film that they actually use the whole fucking movie. It's like, okay, that's not fucking funny. Oh, we're on that joke about the 12th time already?
Well, and to really...
fucking Jesus is bad.
Well, it's not just that, but that other joke that we have through with the film is Dax Shepard's fetish with... basically, it's two things. One, he constantly brings up the fact that he's trying to save his marriage, and they run jokes on that to the ground. And there's also that weird one where everybody refers to him as working for a UPS service, which I thought was fucking stupid. Because the uniform is supposed to look like it's brown and all that, and it was just so dumb.
Yeah, they keep running that in the ground, but it's funny because Dax Shepard is he's a fucking idiot in this because he runs the wife thing, but like so many scenes where he's coming in and out, and his wife is obviously getting fucked by this other dude in this movie, which is played by Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel's in this,
which was like. Josh Duhamel playing a big-time actor like that comes in to do a small cameo in a very low-budget comedy. I was like, wow. I said, if this movie has a high budget, it's because you're getting this movie for what it is terrible. This movie brings a lot of fucking main stars. When you were in the restroom, guess who else is in that movie? You know that girl, that old woman that showed her tits? Yeah. And he freaked out on that. And then when you were in the bathroom, they actually have a scene where she goes, hey, you know who that is? Who? Malcolm in the Middle's mother.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
So this movie is bringing big names, which is surprising.
Surprisingly, it brought in your uncle, Ed Begley, too.
Yeah, he's like a distant uncle. Like, he's related. some of my relatives are Begleys, and Ed Begley Jr. is like a distant great uncle to me. Yeah. So. Yeah, so he plays also a cameo where they pull him over. Dax Shepard's pretty much acting like... It kind of reminded me of, if you guys seen the movie Friday After Next, where Day finally gets to become a security guard, and he's going overboard. He's like, ticket! I'm going to arrest you! Yeah. Dax Shepard is so hyped at the beginning where it's like, oh, he broke that law. Oh, they broke that law.
He's speeding. Yeah, and then shit.
Michael Pena's playing Ice Cube, where he's like, shut your fucking mouth, man. We're not here for that, you know?
Yeah. Well, not just that, but basically, to kind of get into a little bit of the plot, too, as it goes along, we see some weird shit that's kind of out in the obvious, where Vincent D'Onofrio plays the bad guy in this. And it's right from the start. He plays the most standard villain in this.
Check this out. This motherfucker reveals himself at the beginning of the movie, so you already know the villain, so there ain't going to be a villain twist.
Yeah.
So... they go to see, and then you realize that he works for the police department. So it's like you're looking at Michael Pena and like, there's the villain right there. Yeah. We're supposed to be the one they're tricking as audiences, but I mean, the villain's right fucking there.
And you can tell when we first introduce him, you can tell it's his physique because you can see his gut hanging out.
You see the gut, then you see the fucking face from here up, and he's got that unique look. Yeah. Not to mention, he still looks like fucking Gomer Pyle. Yeah. In the face. And you know his voice because he has a distinct voice. Yeah. And kind of like, and if people remember Phone Booth, when we were supposed to that, my problems with Phone Booth with the twist was everybody knew the voice of Kiefer Sutherland, so that kind of fucked that movie up. But anyways, back to the point. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, so we now know the villain, and basically we're supposed to sit here and scream at the screen to say, hey, he's right fucking there, he's with you.
Yeah, and not just that, they solve this plot of him actually quick, because later in the film when they're investigating of who the guy actually is, or because there's this weird thing that Dax Shepard brings up early in the film where he says LT, and I'm like, okay, that can either mean LT as a name or it's a lieutenant. And he's like, and then one guy later in the film actually tells that, you dumbass, it's either a lieutenant or someone in there. And guess what? The scene following that, they're looking through like the pictures and stuff, and they find a lieutenant that's obviously fucking like so fast with Vincent D'Onofrio in the pictures.
That was how they found out, was LT, lieutenant, and then it's like, oh, there's the lieutenant. Oh, that's him the whole entire time. And it's like, wow, not to mention they're able to tie in other shit like in 2 seconds, which was getting on my nerves. But I also there's a cop that died, we said at the beginning, and they keep like going to her house. She's a widow, and they keep asking her questions, and they go to her house like 4 times. I'm like,
Yeah.
how many times are you gonna keep coming back to this woman's house, man? It's getting old. And then every fucking time before she answers the door when they knock, they're talking about something about licking asses. Oh no, I shit that way. No, it's shitting
Yeah.
that way. It feels so good.
Yeah.
And they talk forever about shit like this, and the girl's like disgusted out. I'm like, what are you doing back here?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This kind of humor where they're talking about shit jokes and things like that. That
what's
to
wrong
me
with
is
comedies.
not only is it feel forced, but it you can tell it's improvised because they keep running it through the ground like that.
Yeah. Basically, they improvised this movie, and when you improvise, if you're not really good at, with comedy, you're gonna go on and on and on like you do in a regular conversation, and forgot that you shot 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the movie, the fucking, all the jokes are all stretched the fuck out, like.
Absolutely.
Oh my god!
And not
this
just
is getting
that,
so
but
fucking bad.
not just that, but there's a lot of sequences in this film where you actually pointed this out better than I did, where when we see some of the action scenes, especially when they're driving down the highway, well, first of all, I got to point this out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe some of the sequences where they show them like close-ups, I think they use GoPro cameras for those.
Yeah,
Like the little cheap cameras you buy.
But they're doing like more of the motocross, like
Yeah.
riding bikes and shit.
Yeah, but not just that, but we see the weird parts where you were talking about how when they're chasing them, you can see that they're obviously CGI when they fall over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when people get hit.
I should expect this because it's a cheap comedy, and cheap comedies can't afford, budget on, big time shit like action. So there's parts where they're on this big speed chase now that Vincent knows that he's been found and they're after him. And Vincent's pretty much, and it's also cops, like good people are accidentally hitting people. And they seriously, like, when they hit the people, you can, now the person looks obviously now been replaced with CGI.
Yeah.
And he just sucks off the screen. I'm like, the fuck? Even in a bad action film, I've seen better.
Yeah.
Come on now. You got Josh Duhamel, you got fucking Michael, you got main A-list actors in this, but you're using 2-cent CGI that me and him can probably go and Ford and put on our fucking thing and CGI.
Yeah.
Right now, we literally could probably do that with this camera, and it would look better than that.
Yeah.
Like, I did not expect it to be that fucking bad. They literally were turning CGI and then suck off the screen, and there's no blood anywhere.
Well, speaking of that, now I know I know it's a comedy and all, but I'm pretty sure for that accidental hit and run that one of them two would probably be questioned about. They never bring that up later.
What?
When one of them hits one of the bystanders, 2 people on the road.
Yeah.
They hit 2 innocent bystanders. They didn't get questioned about it.
No, they're hitting more than that. They hit a couple more when you're in the bathroom. Like,
Oh, yeah,
they
I
constantly
missed
were
that.
hitting. It was like becoming now a running joke that they were actually hitting fucking pedestrians, which were turning the CGI, and then you could tell computerized it got sucked off the screen. I'm
Yeah.
like, that looked really bad. And then Dax Shepard gets run over 80 miles an hour, and this motherfucker is in the hospital. Well, first he's on the scene when they try to wake him up and you think he died. They try to play emotional part. He doesn't have a scratch on him. Like, he literally looked
looks
he
clean.
left out of a LA hairdressing.
Yeah.
And then he played a typical Hollywood where he's put on the helmet and just laying there, because when they go to the hospital, first of all, he's under, life support, breathing machines, and all that stuff. Don't even got a scratch on him. And his hair is even combed. Perfect.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
Don't even got a scab on him.
Yeah, but-
Yes, I can understand this as a comedy, but I expect more out of a comedy. It's only whenever I let it pass if it's satire. This was not satire.
No, because this film
Yeah.
plays it like a regular comedy because
Yeah,
they don't.
and they were playing their action scenes like they think they're like they might have an Oscar winning.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this film has the humor of basically the equivalent of showing shit jokes, dick jokes, things like that.
Yeah.
And the only kind of satire they kind of set up at first was the whole, going on this old police force and things like that because they're highway patrolmen, but they don't go anywhere with that. This whole film is not satire, it's just a straight comedy. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I mean, this movie
doesn't really need to go in much detail because this final climax they have is really fucking bad too, because the believe it or not, the final climax has something that makes no sense because it involves Dax Shepard's wife, played by Kristen Bell in real life, who is his real life wife. she actually has a kidnapping plot where Vincent actually kidnaps her for really it's kind of pointless because throughout the entire film, she's cheating on Dax Shepard.
What was the point of Vincent meeting him halfway and then just then trying to like follow him the whole entire time if they know he was going to kill him? Like instead of doing sense. Like and instead of meeting us at this big villainish place and like here she is, I'm going to kill you and stuff. They're on their way there. Then like instead of like trying to like he almost runs him off the road. But other than that, they're just he's just following up to the place the whole time. I was like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
And then they go in there and they walk in there and like, shouldn't you be in there guarding the hostages? They could have ran out themselves if you think about it because there was nobody else watching them. Then that girl, that twist where they already showed you one of the girls that Michael Pena is kind of like falling in love with, like he thinks she's sexy and hot. She is now working for Vincent, and we were already told that in the middle of the movie. So when they try to do the big reveal, we knew she was going to hand Vincent the gun.
It's like, what the fuck was the point of that if you're just going to do it anyway? It's like
you're watching a movie where you already know the entire movie and you've seen it and you already know what's going to do, but you don't know how they're going to react. You're waiting on their reaction, which kind of really is kind of cool, pointless actually, because you as a movie person want to be twisted and turned and like, whoa, like you want to picture yourself there, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
but it's kind of hard when you already were told who's going to be the villain, what's the motive, everything in the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and then and we get to this shit right here. Okay, so like we discussed earlier with how Dax Shepard is basically a former motocross guy. Well, it turns out that this is something that's
he had the career-ending
injury that basically left a metal plate inside his arm.
Yeah.
There's actually a scene where Vincent D'Onofrio is shooting at Dax Shepard and Michael Pena steps in to try to, block the bullet. All of a sudden, the bullet ricochets off Dax Shepard's arm and then immediately goes to Vincent D'Onofrio's head. Shoot him right in the head.
And killed him.
Which, I mean, I'm not no expert on bullets, but I call bullshit on that shit.
Yeah, well, first of all, I believe the metal material that they use in arms would fucking still be punctured, especially if you use an armor piercing. I mean, there a lot of bullets out there do go through that type metal. That metal is not supposed to be like Terminator.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn, they're not making you bionic, man. Whenever they put those in you, I've had metal stuff put in me before because of breaking arms and shit. But I mean, come on now. I'm sure if a cop still shot me or somebody shot me, it's going through that metal thing and it's going to hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So they had to, cheap. Oh, look, boom. And the bullet looked just CGI and the blood, it actually you could tell like the dot was CGI on his head.
Yeah, it looked like
they couldn't even buy 2-cent blood and put it right here. Yeah. I don't know. This movie...
in the end, too, it didn't even fucking matter because in the end, as we see throughout the film, Dax Shepard is having problems with his wife. He's trying to work out. Well, in the end, he ends up fucking leaving her. And that basically made her entire kidnapping plot pointless.
I don't think we really talked about that. We went into detail about how in the first... and this only happened in a couple scenes, we would get the hint that she's cheating on him, and we see Josh Duhamel, and there'd be one time where he's flirting with her and pulling from her, and he don't know.
Yeah.
Dax don't know. Hey, I mean, I'm sure if I seen some dude there like constantly living and doing the shit he was doing in front of Dax, I'd be like, hey, motherfucker, it's my wife.
Yeah.
Like obviously you can't be that fucking stupid, but he's running that like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like
there's that other scene.
Then like then there's another scene where
he's in the bed. He's in the bed.
No, check this out. You remember we get the scene where Josh Duhamel's like, he lives here. It's like, you've been fucking apparently living here too.
Yeah.
You just now know that the ex-husband has gotten to live in the other side of the house and listen to you two have sex, and Dax still don't know that they're fucking. Oh, come on now. You can do better in writing than that.
I know.
And then there's that fucking stupid ass was really bothering the fuck out of me. And everybody really says this is probably one of their most cringiest parts. This goes back to talking about how, they run jokes constantly in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a thing where they run that Michael Pena they keep running the joke that he's homophobic.
Yeah, which I thought was so old even from the start.
Yeah.
Because it just...
And then he magically... Dax can't get to his pills. That's another thing we're gonna mention. Dax is apparently injured from getting kicked, which I didn't
By
know,
Michael Pena.
but Michael Pena, which I didn't know would make you bedridden, and he can't get up. So he's calling all these people to help him, and nobody would help him. His wife is getting fucked by Josh Duhamel somewhere in the other house. She ain't gonna help him. And that basically that was the last time we seen Josh Duhamel. Like it just literally they both characters disappeared.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? That was stupid. What was the point of that, the old movie? Well, anyways, Josh Pena shows up, picks him up, and then they got to do the whole where the dick rubs on the face, slow motion thing. And I was like, I've seen that actually a few times in movies. That's what comedies are running on every one of their movies.
I know. And, well, not just that, too, but basically in the end, we also see that the whole kidnapping plot, like we discussed earlier with Christian Bale, is pointless. So
how about Dax Shepard able to fucking be crippled one moment and not be crippled?
Yeah, that was inconsistent. Okay, I know this is a comedy and all, like we discussed before, but characters in this film do have the tendency of not really having a scratch. They're like fucking Superman when they get injured. They'll be able to get shot, or fall on something or get hurt, and all of a sudden they're up and about.
Out of a skyscraper and walk off.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here?
Well, you remember how Dax? Yeah. He survives. He has all those problems, right? But the whole first half of the movie, he's crippled from getting kicked in the kneecap.
Yeah,
by Michael Pena.
But
remember how hard it was, and they had to do this whole thing where they're basically hinting that they're rehabbing him for that. Well, but yet he gets hit 80 miles an hour
and still gets out of the hospital fairly easily.
Yeah, he got out in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were convinced that he got hit 80 miles an hour head on by a steeled FBI SWAT team truck with no blood, and then I guess he was able to be like Fonzie and go, and then go, put on the helmet, like he's dead, and then they fucking 3 days, like he's in a fucking, the cleanest life support patient I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Where he literally has nothing. It looks like you can tell the scene is it's a scene. You can tell. It's bad when you could it's a movie, but it's bad when you can tell that it was a scene.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And then 3 days later, he's out of the hospital. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think life support people get out that quick.
Fuck no.
And I'm telling you right now, he would have been Christopher Reeves by how hard he got hit.
But anyway, basically, as it pretty much ends, we see that Shepard and Pena end up becoming friends now, and they're working their highway patrol and everything, so everything's back to normal. And now, basically, it ends with them on the highway, like you see in the trailer, where they're listening to California Love.
While the credits playing, which was pointless to even have that.
Yeah, I was stupid. It was just them driving and just listening to music. But overall, this movie was fucking painful. I seriously thought this is the worst kind of buddy cop movie I've probably seen since probably Cop Out.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to tell you right now, Cop Out was way better than this fucking piece of shit. For what it was worth, it was not as bad as this fucking scumbag piece of shit movie. Yeah, this movie, man, Chips, it was predicted to be bad, and it was bad. It was fucking horrible. I don't recommend this piece of fucking shit. I just wish they'd stop making these fucking comedies this bad.
Well, and not to mention, like you kind of described last year with the ride-along films, they always do that same type of
ride-along. They're terrible.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are both fucking bad.
That's what I'm saying. They're the buddy cop genre.
And I'm sorry, 22 Jump Street is fucking trash. That was painfully unfunny. I'll give 21 some credit. It was a doable, but 22, no. Yeah. That was one of my worst films of 2014 when it came out. I could not fucking stand 22. That was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you hate Chips but like that, you need to reevaluate the movie again, because this Chips was identical to 22.
I haven't seen 22. I've only seen 21, but I know a lot of you said that was pretty good, but But overall, based on the cop movies I've seen, I want to watch Nice Guys again. Nice Guys was actually one of the best, buddy cop films we had in a long time. But this one, the only praises I'll probably give on small things. I did like the guy who played the chief, because he kind of reminded me off of Last Action Hero,
the black dude. I actually could watch a whole movie of him, because I love when he cusses. Yeah. He gets mad. He fucking makes me laugh. And that dude was cool. And I chuckled at some little things, some little tiny lines.
Yeah, I will say Michael Pena was at least trying with his comedy. He had me chuckle a couple times.
Yeah.
Dax Shepard,
Dax
was fucking terrible
Yeah,
in
believe it or
this.
not. Yeah, nothing came out of Dak's mouth made me chuckle. I was like, oh my god, dude, you're fucking. Man, you're about to make me pull my hair out. And after all this cons, one of the other big cons was overall the movie was so boring too. And I was like, please let it be over with.
Yeah. Yeah, I was waiting for it to end as soon as I saw that, like...
I was ready for it to end
of it.
The beginning,
yeah.
I was like,
man, this is going to be painful.
This is going to be bad.
But overall, though, but despite me chuckling a couple times throughout the film and all that, I'm going to give this film a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going with him. We both agreed on pretty much everything. I'm going to go give Chips 2 out of 10. This was an epic piece of shit. I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who have also seen Chips, what did you guys think of it? Comment below, and if you like what you see here, you can check out more of our reviews, and we'll be seeing you in our next one. We'll see you later.
Later.